This is 5 Alive News.
Hello, I'm Ron Stahl. A 2-year-old Midwest city girl is in critical condition today with burns to 80% of her body. Kara Coyote Rope was one of 3 people injured in this morning's fire that did about $70,000 worth of damage. A male occupant of the house has burns to 10% of his body and is in serious condition. A third person, a male, who has lacerations to his arm, which he apparently got breaking a window in a rescue attempt. Fire officials aren't sure how the fire started and are concerned about how quickly it spread. The 2-year-old had a crib in the living room, which appears to have sustained the greatest damage. Arson officials are on the scene. First indications are the occupants tried to put out the fire themselves, which caused it to spread. Fire investigators in Cushing are sifting through the charred ruins of a downtown hardware store at this hour. They're trying to determine the cause of last night's blaze. The David Bean Pro Hardware store in Cushing went up in flames shortly before 6 o'clock last night and burned for more than 4 hours. Exploded paint cans and propane canisters helped fuel the fire, which destroyed the building. Some 50 firefighters from Cushing and surrounding towns battled the blaze. There were no injuries. Last month's shooting death of an off-duty Oklahoma City police officer is now a test case, a case being heard this hour by the Oklahoma Police Pension and Retirement Board. 5 Alive's Ramona Russ is at that hearing and has a live report. Ramona?
Well, Ron, the board has been hearing witnesses all morning in the case of Oklahoma City police officer Gary Ward. Now, the board usually meets once a month, but they knew that they would need extra time to figure out how to handle this special case, so they called a special meeting. The first witness to testify was Ward's widow, Martha Ward. Her husband, Gary, had been an Oklahoma City police officer for 14.5 years before he was killed while working as an off-duty security guard at the Holiday Inn Northwest. If Ward had been killed after 15 years of service, his family would have been automatically eligible for pension benefits, even if he was killed while off duty. Because it was under 15 years, the board must determine whether Ward's death meets the requirements in a key phrase, whether he died while in the performance of duty as an officer. And Ron, Chief Wilder just got off the stand a little while ago, and when he was on the hearing stand, he was asked the question whether he believed that Officer Ward was either off duty or on duty. And Chief Wilder said that he really couldn't honestly answer that question because he believed that the officer was both at the time.
Well, Ramona, should the board decide in favor of the Ward family, how much money would they get?
Well, I talked to one of the board members, and they said that if they do, in fact, find in favor of the family, that he will be eligible for a pension as if he had worked 20 years.
Okay, Ramona. In other news, Oklahoma City police are looking for a driver who hit a motorcyclist and left him dying in the street. 21-year-old Bobby Ray Dunham's motorcycle fell over late last night on the Northwest Highway. As he tried to ride it, a car struck Dunham and dragged him more than 200 feet. The driver kept going. Dunham was killed. Police are searching for a late-model dark brown Lincoln Continental. The state's labor commissioner is asking for a broader search for asbestos in state buildings. Commissioner William Falk says the search for asbestos should be completed so that the cleanup can be completed. He says a piecemeal cleanup of the asbestos already found would be too expensive. Falk warns that the asbestos already discovered around pipes and boilers be left untouched until that full-scale cleanup. He says Governor Nye plans to meet with state agency heads who control buildings with suspected asbestos to discuss that matter. Savings and loan institutions in Ohio remain closed today. State Senate there debated until the early morning hours today but couldn't agree on a plan to reopen the S&Ls. The issue is insurance. The current state law there doesn't require the institutions to have federal deposit insurance, and several legislators think the S&Ls should stay closed until that law is changed. The Ohio Senate is set to reconvene on that issue later today. President Reagan is lunching with selected senators at this hour, trying to nail down support for funding for the MX missile program. The weapons system has become the first testing ground this term for Mr. Reagan. If he loses, the world will see him as lacking support from his Congress. The vote will be very close, though. Vice President Bush is standing by in case he has to cast the tiebreaker. One of the major swing votes could come from Oklahoma Senator David Boren, a Democrat who's saying he'll probably vote with the Republicans on this one. Coming up on 5 Alive News at noon, new figures do not bode well for the nation's home construction industry.
Out of dough in Buffalo,
A little shy in Cheyenne,
you end up broken low.
out of cash in Ketchikan.
If you've got SCS and Cirrus, your money's now nearby. Day or night, we'll reunite you with your cash supply. Ain't no fun in Fun City when your funds are running low. But with SCS and Cirrus, you can now get cash to go.
With the SCS card, your money's nearby nationwide at the Cirrus sign.
You got a surprise coming, Mrs. Andrews.
Will I like it?
Well, boneless chuck is now half price.
You're kidding.
Skaggs Alphabeta Special.
Well, how'd you like to special the shoulder roast, too?
Sure.
I don't believe it.
Shoulder roast is now half price.
Ah, I suppose it's one per customer.
Well, try me.
Through Tuesday, boneless chuck and shoulder roast are half price at Skaggs Alphabeta.
Say when.
There is no when.
It's Target's Big Sale, featuring enormous savings store-wide. Save 25% on Target's entire stock of baseball and softball gloves and bats. Save big on wire grid stack chairs, only $5.99 each. And Glidden Spread satin latex wall paint is now 1/2 off. It's savings on a grand scale during the big sale at Target.
A sharp decline in housing construction tops today's Money Matters. The Commerce Department says overall construction last month was down 11%, the biggest drop in a year, but that figure is deceiving. The single-family home starts are actually up more than 5%, but that was more than offset by a huge drop in new apartment construction. Hollywood scriptwriters have ratified a new contract and are being told to return to work. The 2-week walkout threw many television shows into early reruns. The writers won increases in wages and insurance benefits, but gave up their fight for a bigger share of the home video cassette market. And the merger of Capital Cities Communications and ABC is being touted as a case of quality and quantity. Capital Cities is a much smaller company than ABC, but was able to borrow enough money to buy the network because Capital Cities has a very high profit as a percentage of revenue. Now, if you want to get your money's worth from fine wine, you should drink it all once the bottle's opened. If you can't, there is a new device on the market said to keep the wine from oxidizing. The Wine Keeper is from California, where else, and fits into the bottle's neck. As the wine is poured, it's replaced with nitrogen. That's an inert gas that won't spoil the wine. If you want one, it'll cost you, though. The Wine Keeper starts at $198 for the single bottle style. Well, stock prices moving higher on the New York Stock Exchange today. At noon, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up almost 2¼ points in active trading. As you sit staring at your tax form each year, there's always the fear that something has changed in the last year, something that could cost you money. Well, you're right. Several things have changed this year. In our Tax Tips report today, a quick rundown of those changes and tips on which forms to use.
Today's tax tip: key changes and forms. The tax rates for all brackets have been reduced again, but the changes have been built into the tax tables and tax schedules. There are 2 new lines to report taxable Social Security benefits. Up to 1/2 of your 1984 Social Security benefits may be taxable. There's a worksheet on page 11 of the instruction booklet for Form 1040 that shows you how to determine how much is taxable. You have a choice of 3 forms for your income tax return: 1040, 1040A, and 1040EZ. You can probably use the shortest form, 1040EZ, if you are single with no dependents, and if your income is all from wages, salaries, and tips, and if you don't have more than $400 income from interest. You can probably use the short form 1040A if your income is only from wages, salaries, tips, interest, dividends, and unemployment compensation, and your taxable income is less than $50,000. You can't itemize deductions on this form, but you can claim IRA contributions, the partial deduction for charitable contributions, and the 10% deduction for married couples when both work. You can also claim the child care credit and the partial credit for political contributions. Karen Ryan, ABC News.
Those of you out on the farm in southern Oklahoma certainly know what a problem fire ants can be. At the BioFact lab near Mathis, Texas, researchers have come up with a natural control for the pesky critters, a microscopic parasite that kills them in minutes.
Fire mite will attack all life stages of the ant, and it actually injects a a neurotoxin into the host in order to immobilize the host so that it will settle down and it will be able to feed.
Now, the treatment is easy. All you do is make a hole in the mound, pour in wheat treated with the parasites, and cover it up. The fire ants die within 5 minutes, and the fire mites die within 3 to 5 days. You wind up spending $1 to $5 per mound. Childhood leukemia is a serious disease, but it's no longer the killer it used to be. As Linda Roach reports, doctors are using new techniques to beat down the disease.
Most of Joshua's life has been spent fighting leukemia. He was only a year old when doctors discovered it.
Leukemia is the most common cancer in children. 1 in 3,000 will be diagnosed with the disease. But doctors here are having a good deal of success with treatment, better than the national average.
11-year-old Catherine Vahey is an example. She's had no symptoms of the disease for almost 3 years. In fact, life for her and her family has gone back to
normal. Can actually go 2 or 3 days without thinking about it.
Nationwide, 60 to 70% of the kids with leukemia beat the disease. But in Rochester, 80 to 85% survive it. Doctors here say they use drugs differently.
We're using them in a different way. We're using them in somewhat a more intensive manner for certain of the children who are at higher risk of having a relapse.
Cohen says doctors do not know the cause for leukemia. It seems to choose its victims randomly. But he says it's a disease with a lot of hope for a long, healthy life.
Up and away with some Millwood primary school students, plus Ross Dixon with a looming storm when we come back.
Are you finished, Dad?
Yeah. So's this shirt.
What happened to you?
We fixed a flat tire.
It looks like it.
Dad, your shirt smells like it too.
Well, we'll wash it.
Introducing Surf, the new detergent that removes dirt and odors for 2 kinds of clean. New Surf washes away not only ground-in dirt, it also washes away stubborn odors.
Shirt looks good, Dad. And smells good, too.
New Surf removes dirt and odors for 2 kinds of clean.
Looky here, looky here. Soft cookies.
There are soft batch chocolate chip cookies, Mom. They're brand new.
They're more than new. They're soft and chewy, like cookies fresh from the oven.
You don't bite into a soft batch cookie.
You sort of sink into it.
Mom, if you didn't know we bake new soft batch cookies in this hollow tree, you might swear they were homemade.
Ernest, this is home.
New soft batch cookies from Keebler. So soft, they taste like they're right from the oven.
Choose a career at Drawn's College.
Your success begins when you enroll at Drawn.
Secretarial, word processing, computer programming, medical assist, travel and tourism, accounting. Take your pick.
You can get there fast when you enroll at Drawn.
If you feel 4 years is too long and expensive, call Drawn's College and be a success ahead of your time. Night classes, too.
Most cheddars aren't good enough for this seal. They held their breath when J.L. Kraft came around. Because only the best made it out the door. Still, no one is tougher on quality than a J.L. Kraft Select Cheesemaster.
You may have bought cheddars that are over the hill. Bit of an off flavor. We still taste every vat in the aging room to make sure the flavor is good enough for my seal. That's a promise of quality from J.L. Kraft and me.
Trust the seal that says Select. J.L. Kraft Select.
There's nothing more colorful on a clear day like today than 100 balloons floating in the breeze. Kindergarten and first grade students at Millwood School decided to fill the sunny skies today with balloons with a special message. The balloons carry the student's name and school name and ask that the finders send a card back to the student. It's part of a pen pal plan that helps students improve their reading and writing skills, but today it was mostly fun.
Listen carefully. We're going to count 1, 2, and 3. Don't let it go. We're going to say 3, and then we're going to say launch, okay? And when you hear the word launch, we're all going to let them go. 3,
Beautiful. Students are hoping their balloons travel all over the country. The balloon that travels the farthest and is returned to the school will earn a $500 prize for the school. I don't think they care whether they're returned or not. Maybe the launching was the best part of that whole deal, Ross.
I tell you, those balloons are going to soar a long way with their upper level winds right now.
And
so
get
they
wet.
picked a good day.
Yeah, and get wet.
Now,
too,
they'll
right?
be ahead of the rain.
You think so?
We won't, but they will. Let's take a look at our current conditions. We have fair skies. This is the forerunner of the storm that's moving in from the west. Our current reading is 62 degrees. The winds are from the south at 16 with gusts to 23 miles per hour. Relative humidity is 57%, and our pressure right now is falling from 30 inches even. Let's take a look at some early morning lows. Generally 40s across the state with 45 degrees in the metro area, only 50 degrees reported down at Ardmore for one of the warmest readings. And by midday, we managed to clamber up into the 60s statewide for the most part, except for Lawton. They only have 59 degrees. Thicker cloud cover now in the southwestern corner of Oklahoma. 65 degrees, one of the warmer readings up at Tulsa. 63 degrees at Piedmont. The winds are the major feature for the next couple of hours across Oklahoma. They'll be generally from the southeast and blowing up to around 25 to occasionally 30 miles per hour as that storm approaches. So people in high-profile vehicles going west will encounter some very heavy winds and heavy rains later on tonight. Now, what we have as far as satellite shows that Earthscan has quite a bit of cloudiness over Oklahoma, mostly high cloudiness. The activity is still out in the Texas Panhandle, down around Lubbock, across back into portions of New Mexico. These are locally heavy rains right now, and they're all moving towards the northeast at about 15 to 25 miles per hour. They'll continue to develop during the afternoon period, moving into southwestern Oklahoma early this afternoon and across into the central sections, I think, after 8 p.m. tonight. As we take a look at the big scene, we can see that there's quite a bit of cloudiness further west with snow activity in Colorado, portions of Utah, and also Arizona. They got 6 inches in Arizona, so travel advisories have been issued for that state, and snows are expected to be occurring tonight in portions of Colorado and New Mexico. Meanwhile, high pressure dominates most of the eastern part of the country, bringing some record lows to Florida, but outside of that, not much weather action. Here's the precipitation pattern right now. This storm is now moving towards the east-southeast and will bring us a dose of some heavy rains tonight. Temperature-wise across the country, well, it's not too bad south of this frontal system, generally in the 60s nationwide with 40s and 50s behind it. The cold air will stay to the north of Oklahoma, but it will be cool and damp tomorrow. What we expect to see tomorrow will be highs generally in the 50s statewide, 60s down in the southeast, 70s will hug the coastal areas from Brownsville across into Florida. And the forecast for tomorrow is going to be a soggy one with rain activity most of the day. North winds will be cool. Scattered showers and thunderstorms will be generally to the south, and that's where I expect the severe weather to be. And we're looking for essentially just a soggy day tonight and tomorrow. Now, as far as the forecast for tonight, showers and thunderstorms locally heavy, good rainfall amounts in excess of 3 inches. We expect to see essentially overnight lows range from the 30s in the Panhandle to the 50s southeast. And tomorrow, rain will continue, but lighter and cooler air with north breezes. Our forecast for the metropolitan area for tonight is calling for some heavy rains. Look for a low of 49 degrees. And tomorrow, it's going to be rain and more rain, high of 54 degrees. The extended outlook is calling for partly cloudy on Thursday. Friday, a nice day, high 66. Saturday, our next storm system will come in with scattered showers and thunderstorms, so it may be a rotten weekend coming up.
Well, I'm real sorry about that. Any need to look out for local flooding in some of these low-lying areas? Is it going to come down that fast tonight?
I think it will. So if you're in a flood-prone area or you have areas that leak and build up water, watch out tonight.
Okay, Ross. In sports, Willie and Mickey can return to the dugouts. 5 Alive's Mick Cornett has that and more in Sports Bennett.
2 of baseball's biggest stars are back in good standing with the major leagues. Willie Mays, who played for 23 years with the Giants and Mets, and Mickey Mantle, who spent 18 seasons with the Yankees, were reinstated yesterday by Baseball Commissioner Peter Ueberroth. The pair had been banned from spring training activity by former Commissioner Bowie Kuhn because they were employed in a public relations position with a New Jersey casino. The Oklahoma Sooners will play tomorrow night against Louisiana Tech in the 3rd round of the NCAA basketball tournament. Tip-off is set for 5:30. The 2 teams met in the Myriad back in September. The Sooners won it 84-72. The latest college baseball rankings are out, and the Oklahoma Sooners are ranked 3rd. Miami is number 1, followed by Texas. Oklahoma State is ranked 12th. Nebraska is number 19. Mick Cornett, 5 Alive Sports Minute.
And in the next segment of 5 Alive News at Noon, Mr. T and the Hulk set out to defend the good name of rock and roll.
My dad sure doesn't seem very happy with his job lately. I think I'll color him blue. Boy, my mom sure is happy she just graduated from Platt College. I think I'll draw a smile.
Which picture do you belong in? At Platt College, we offer an alternative to the four-year college program, providing a self-paced education in drafting and complete production art and floral design courses. Fully licensed and accredited, Platt College also provides career counseling and financial assistance to qualified students. Prepare for the future. Trust your growth to Platt College, where careers begin.
Oh, it's Saturday. The house is full of relatives. It's 10 degrees outside, and I've got no heat. What am I going to do?
You need the dependable services of Drayback & Hill. We'll send out a highly trained serviceman to put your furnace back in working order. And if it needs replacing, we'll give you a free estimate on replacing it with a Carrier furnace.
Warm again.
Drayback & Hill. Service when you need it.
Oh, yeah. Often imitated, but never duplicated. Drayback & Hill.
In Deutschland backen wir Strudel. Aber in Amerika, Pillsbury, Toasterstrudel, Strudel zum Toasten. Oh, 16 Lagen Blätterteig mit saftiger, fruchtiger Füllung, fantastischer Glasur. Ist es auch gut? So was habe ich noch nie getoastet. Oh.
Pillsbury Toaster Strudel in your grocer's freezer.
You never toasted anything like it.
The issue of South Africa's rigid racial separation, apartheid, boiled into an unprecedented confrontation between black and white on ABC's Nightline last night. At odds are the white population's assertion that they have fought and won the right to rule as they see fit, and the predominant black population's stand that the white government is oppressive and sometimes violent. Leaders of both sides erupted into an argument after Black Nobel Prize winner Bishop Desmond Tutu accused Foreign Minister R.F. Botha and his government of Nazism.
When are you going to listen to the victims and stop listening to the perpetrators of something as evil as Nazism and communism?
To compare us with the Nazis is an insult to the more than 100,000 South Africans of Jewish origin who came to this country and to our forefathers who fought with the Allied powers against Nazi Germany.
The issue of apartheid will be discussed all week on Nightline. Well, okay, get ready to yawn. The New Jersey-based Boring Institute has released its most boring list of 1984. The movie Rhinestone, actor-comedian Steve Martin, and actress Amy Irving all elected the most likely to put you to sleep in your seat. Now, this won't be boring, though. Mr. T and Hulk Hogan take on Rowdy Roddy Piper and wonderful Paul Orndorff in a grudge match at Madison Square Garden Sunday night. Hogan and T say they'll win.
Hey, Mr. T got a lot of things that's common, you know, about training, saying our prayers, eating our vitamins. We got a special deal with a big dude upstairs, brother, and we've been doing a lot of talking to the man up there, and there ain't no way we're going to lose because we got him on our side, if you can dig that.
We're going to win because the cause that we represent is good. That's what, like I said, that's what you got to understand, what we represent here, you know, to the youth of America, being good, living clean, no alcohol in the system, you know, being strong, not just in body, but in spirit and soul, being strong to say no against drugs and things like that. That's what we represent here.
I think they're winning the war of words anyway. Well, this is all coming about because of an attack on rock star Cyndi Lauper at a recent wrestling event. Well, something a little different today and by design, a look at some new and exciting jewelry for spring and summer. Designer Kristen Moore has over 20 years in the business and has been primarily known for her small earrings that flatter the face. But this year, she takes a new direction.
They're much larger pieces. They're really more dimensional and sculptural. And they change the emphasis a bit from just mainly earrings to the body.
A high point in Moore's collection, big necklaces that flow with the body shape. Coming up later today on 5 Alive News, the emergence of spring means the greening of Oklahoma. That's coming up at 5. More 5 Alive News at noon in a moment.
Grain wheat isn't enough. The golden honey isn't enough. The pure bran and slow baking with no added preservatives isn't enough to call this wheat bread Home Pride. What makes it Home Pride is real creamery butter. Home Pride splits each loaf, then pours on real creamery butter and lets it bake right in. It gives our wheat bread a taste that's really special. Home Pride Butter Top Wheat. Nature's best ingredients, baked better with butter.
And try delicious Home Pride 7 grain, too.
snazzy,
Stylish.
sophisticated,
From simply elegant
to super avant-garde.
Suburban Contemporary Furnishings has it all.
Choose one piece
A whole room.
or a house full.
Choose from our showroom or custom order something really special to suit your individuality.
For the most incredible collection of contemporary furnishings at the most reasonable prices imaginable.
Suburban Contemporary Furnishings.
The best-kept furniture secret in Oklahoma City.
Sometimes things that look alike are really very different. These cheese sandwiches look alike, but Jimmy's tastes much better because his is Kraft Singles, made with 5 ounces of milk in every slice. Joey's is a substitute sandwich slice made mostly of water and vegetable oil and as little as 1/4 ounce of milk per slice. So remember, just because things look alike doesn't mean they are. Kraft Singles. Taste the difference.
You know that the Scott Paper Company cut the size of paper towels to bring you Scott Towels Junior, the more economical, efficient paper towel that works hard on spills, on windows, on hands. Well, now we've cut the size of towel holders to bring you the Scott Towels Junior Towel Holder, the easy way to hold and dispense Scott Towels Junior. Free with a coupon when you buy 2 rolls of Scott Towels Junior. Efficient size, economical price. Now in its own Scott Towels Junior Holder.
Our top stories today, a 2-year-old Midwest City girl is in critical condition, burned in a morning house fire. And the crucial vote on the MX missile funding is set for this afternoon in the Senate. There's a lot more going on today. News you'll see on our news at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock tonight. 5 Alive's Jane Braden standing by in the newsroom with a preview of some of those stories. Jane?
Ron, what do Oklahoma teachers think about their jobs? We'll take a look at that later in our news today. Plus, there's a war of sorts going on over babies. We'll explain later on 5 Live News.
We'll look for it then, Jane. That about does it for our noon news today. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, Ross says it's going to rain tonight, but get out once today and enjoy the 62 degrees we have. Skies are fair, looking for a high today of 68. Bye-bye.
This has been a presentation of 5 Alive News, recognized as the leader in Oklahoma broadcast journalism.